Your life isn't built in a moment. It's built in the mundane, the daily, and the decisions nobody sees. And that's where greatness is forged. The people you admire didn't become extraordinary because they woke up one day with supernatural power. They became extraordinary because they mastered the smallest parts of life, the pieces most people ignore. Success doesn't respond to random effort. It responds to repeatable excellence. Mastering the micro means you stop treating your days like disposable practice runs and start treating each one like the foundation of your future. What you do in the shadows shows up in your spotlight. You can't build a massive life on a weak daily routine. The people who want to go big but live sloppy are always frustrated. Why? Because life is built from the inside out. It's not what happens in public that determines your elevation. It's what you do when no one's watching. If your habits are lazy, your results will always be limited. If your mind is cluttered, your vision will always be blurry. But if you can master the small things, your morning, your thoughts, your conversations, your reactions, then over time, you start building something too big to be ignored. People always want the finished product without the factory process. But the massive is never born massive. It's grown from small, repeated acts of alignment. That means your calendar, your commitments, your quiet moments. They all matter. There are no throwaway days. There are no neutral hours. Every moment is either building you or breaking you. Either you're becoming more focused or more fragmented. And the thing about the micro is this: it doesn't lie. The massive can be faked for a moment, but the micro will always tell the truth. Excellence is not an event. It's a culture you build inside yourself. Think about athletes, artists, leaders. They don't just show up and turn it on. They've mastered rituals, routines, and mindsets that make greatness a default, not a performance. If you want to manifest the massive, you have to start respecting the little things. How you spend your first 30 minutes of the day. How you talk to yourself when no one else is around. How you prepare, how you recover. How you show up when it's not convenient. That's the secret nobody wants to hear. The breakthrough isn't in the big. It's in the boring. Success is not sexy. It's sweaty. It looks like repeating the same fundamentals over and over again until they're so deep in your bones that they become your identity. And once your identity shifts, your life follows. That's the real transformation. Most people try to change their results without changing their rituals. They want the promise, but skip the process. But you can't walk in abundance while living in disorder. And you can't be trusted with more if you're careless with what you already have. When you master the micro, you remove excuses. You stop blaming lack of time, lack of money, lack of support. Why? Because you've realized that the micro is in your control. Your energy, your focus, your gratitude, your discipline. These are decisions, not circumstances, and that's where the power is. That's where transformation begins. It's not in wishing for a miracle. It's in doing what needs to be done day after day when nobody's clapping. The compound effect doesn't care how inspired you were on Monday. It cares what you did Monday through Sunday, week after week, even when you didn't feel like it. It rewards those who choose structure over chaos, intention over impulse. You don't need a new goal. You need a new grip on your daily life. You need to honor the moments that seem small because they're not small. They're seeds, and if you water them with excellence, they'll grow into something undeniable. Your destiny is too big to be built on shortcuts. You don't need a fast life. You need a focused life, one where every day is an investment, not an accident, and the return on that investment isn't just success, it's satisfaction, because you'll know you've honored the call on your life. Mastering the micro means you're not waiting for permission to be great. You're choosing it daily. You're putting in the work when it's dark, so the world can't deny your light when it shines. The massive isn't waiting out there. It's being built right now, brick by brick, decision by decision, inside your ordinary days. Your destiny isn't determined by what you dream, it's determined by what you do. Discipline is the bridge between desire and manifestation. You can have all the ambition in the world, but without discipline, ambition becomes a burden. It weighs you down instead of lifting you up. The real game changer is not the dream you talk about, but the habits you build when nobody's watching. Destiny doesn't respond to feelings. It responds to consistency. People love to talk about success as if it's some mystery only the lucky ones solve. But it's not luck. It's not magic. It's discipline. Show me your daily schedule, and I'll show you your future. Show me what you do when you don't feel like doing anything, and I'll show you whether your destiny will ever come to life. Discipline is not punishment, it's permission. It gives you access to levels of life most people will never taste because they were too distracted chasing comfort. When you look at the people you admire, what you're really admiring is the result of disciplined choices. You're seeing the rewards of saying no to easy paths and yes to structured pain, because pain is going to show up one way or another. You can face the pain of discipline today or the pain of regret tomorrow. But what you can't do is live an undisciplined life and expect a destiny that looks like excellence. That's a contradiction. Discipline is a language. It's how you speak to the universe, to your creator, to yourself. Every time you choose to act with discipline, you're declaring that you're serious about where you're headed. You're saying, I'm not here to play. I'm here to grow. And that declaration doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be daily. Destiny doesn't come when you scream for it. It comes when you're steady enough to meet it. You can't be trusted with elevation if you can't handle discipline. You say you want more, but can you manage what you already have? Can you steward your time, your money, your health, your thoughts? Because destiny doesn't expand where discipline is absent. It doesn't reward chaos. You might think you're waiting on God, on timing, on opportunities, but the truth is, sometimes destiny is waiting on you to get serious. Most people don't have a destiny problem. They have a discipline problem. They start the year full of fire, but 2 weeks later, they're cold again, because fire alone doesn't keep you going. Fuel does. And that fuel is built in routines, boundaries, and intentional choices. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when your feelings scream otherwise. And if you let your feelings lead, you'll stay trapped in cycles. But if you let discipline lead, you'll start walking in purpose. The secret to real transformation is repetition. Not just a moment of change, but a movement of consistency. Do it again. Wake up early again. Say no to distractions again. Choose focus again. Build structure again. The repetition of discipline becomes the rhythm of destiny, and over time, that rhythm becomes your reality. What you do daily is more important than what you post occasionally. The world doesn't need more declarations. It needs more demonstrations. Don't tell people what you're going to become. Show them through how you train, how you prepare, how you speak, how you serve. Your future self is being shaped by your present discipline. You either build a life on purpose or you fall into a life by accident, and accidents never create legacy. It's not about perfection, it's about pursuit. Discipline doesn't mean you never slip, it means you don't stay down when you do. It means you get back up with more clarity, more conviction, and more commitment. Every disciplined act is a seed, and every seed has a season. You may not see the fruit immediately, but that doesn't mean it's not growing. Stay consistent long enough, and the results will have no choice but to show up. Your destiny is waiting, but it's not waiting in the distance. It's waiting in your decisions. The big door of your future swings on the small hinges of your daily choices. Discipline is how you prove you're ready. Discipline is how you qualify. It's how you separate from average. It's how you rise when others fold. So if you really want to shift your life, don't ask for a new opportunity. Ask yourself how much discipline you're really willing to commit to. Because the future belongs to those who honor today with excellence, and discipline is the proof. Wealthy people don't just think differently about money, they think differently about time. In fact, if you really study them, you'll find that time is their most guarded asset. They don't waste it, they don't gamble with it, and they don't give it to things that don't multiply their mission. Time is the seed of everything they want to grow. They treat it like a sacred currency, and they spend it with precision. The average person trades time for entertainment. The wealthy trade time for elevation. You can get money back. You can rebuild relationships. You can even recover from failure. But time, once it's gone, it's gone. The reason wealthy people seem to move faster isn't because they rush. It's because they don't waste time guessing their value. They've already decided what matters, so they don't burn hours on what doesn't. And that's where most people lose the game, not in their effort, but in their energy management, because where your time goes, your life goes. Most people are time, rich and future, poor because they don't know how to invest the hours they've been given. Every person wakes up with the same 24 hours, but not everyone wakes up with the same urgency. And that urgency is not about being busy, it's about being intentional. It's knowing that every hour you scroll, every moment you procrastinate, every time you delay your purpose, you're making an investment. The question is, what kind of return are you expecting? Wealthy people buy back their time. They delegate, they automate, they eliminate, they say no. Not because they're arrogant, but because they understand that yes is expensive. Every yes costs you time. And if you're saying yes to things that aren't aligned with your vision, you're bleeding your future in exchange for temporary comfort. That's not strategy. That's sabotage. Your schedule is a scoreboard. If you want to see your future, look at your calendar. Where you spend your time reveals what you value, regardless of what you say. You can't claim to want transformation and then spend all your free time in distraction. You can't say you're serious about success and then let hours disappear to mindless consumption. Wealthy people don't just work hard, they work smart. And smart means investing their time where it brings the highest return: growth, mastery, impact, and legacy. One of the greatest investments you'll ever make is learning how to guard your focus. Distractions are time thieves. They don't just delay your goals, they dilute your greatness. Wealthy minds understand that every interruption has a cost. Every wasted conversation, every pointless argument, every second spent explaining yourself to people who aren't even assigned to your vision. It all adds up, and those little leaks in time lead to massive losses in destiny. The average person fills their schedule with low-leverage activities, things that feel urgent but change nothing. The wealthy reverse it. They fill their days with high-leverage actions. Instead of asking, "What do I have to do today?" they ask, "What moves the needle? What multiplies the mission? What gets me closer to freedom?" That's the mindset shift that separates the broke from the built. It's not just about hustle. It's about harvesting every hour. You want to elevate your life, start valuing your time like a millionaire before your bank account looks like one. Wealth isn't something you stumble into, it's something you prepare for, and preparation looks like structure. It looks like putting your phone down when it's time to build. It looks like waking up early to train your mind. It looks like learning when others are relaxing, producing when others are consuming. Wealthy people understand that every hour is either an investment or a withdrawal. You don't have to be rich to think rich. You don't need millions to manage your time with mastery. You just need clarity. Clarity creates urgency. Urgency creates discipline. Discipline creates results. Most people treat time like it's unlimited, but it's not. Your future is on a countdown, so why keep giving your hours to things that don't move you forward? People who understand wealth don't just think long-term financially, they think long-term mentally. They know that how they use their time today determines who they become tomorrow. So they don't just let time pass. They position their time, they schedule growth, they block off space for vision. They protect their mornings, guard their evenings, and fill the in-between with intentional movement. That's why their lives look different. It's not luck, it's stewardship. If you want a wealthy life, start by mastering how you manage the one resource you can't replace. Time is the great equalizer. It doesn't care where you started, only what you do with what you have. And when you start investing your hours like they hold your future, because they do, everything begins to change. Most people want uncommon results while giving common effort. They dream big but move small. They talk heavy but work light. The truth is, if you want to stand out, you can't afford to show up like everybody else. Being uncommon is not about talent, status, or background. It's about effort. The world is full of average. Average is crowded. The top, that's where it gets quiet. That's where the uncommon live, and the price of entry. It's the effort you bring when nobody's watching. Uncommon effort is not about overwork. It's about overcommitting to your calling. It means doing the things others skip. It means giving excellence in moments others overlook. It means refusing to coast on your natural ability and instead demanding more from yourself every single day. The ones who rise are the ones who refuse to be casual about their potential. They treat their gift like it's sacred. They show up like the assignment matters because it does. You can't expect elite results with lazy routines. You can't expect the marketplace to value what you don't discipline yourself to master. When you put in uncommon effort, it shows. It shows in how you talk, how you walk, how you carry your purpose. People can see it before they hear it. The energy is different. The presence is undeniable because excellence creates its own authority. You don't have to beg for opportunities when you've prepared with uncommon intensity. The doors begin to open because your name starts moving before you do. There is a world of difference between being busy and being effective. Average effort is scattered. It looks like motion, but it's just noise. Uncommon effort is focused, it's surgical, it's strategic. You don't chase everything. You master one thing at a time and move with precision. You're not out here trying to impress people. You're here to impact them, and impact doesn't come from hype. It comes from hard, hidden work. The kind nobody celebrates, but everyone sees the result of later. Too many people are stuck at the level of almost. They almost made it, almost committed, almost followed through, almost finished, but almost never leaves a legacy. It's not enough to start strong. You've got to finish with power. And that requires uncommon stamina. You have to outlast the noise, outlast the doubt, outlast the season when nothing seems to be working. That's where most people quit, but that's also where the uncommon rise. Effort is the one thing you control. You may not control the outcome. You may not control the economy, your background, or who supports you, but you do control your input. You control how hard you go. You control whether you hit snooze or wake up with purpose. You control whether you practice when nobody is watching or perform only when the lights are on. Uncommon effort is not situational. It's a lifestyle. It's a standard you refuse to lower. Average people wait to feel like it. Uncommon people train until it becomes instinct. They don't live by moods. They live by mission. They're not counting the hours. They're making the hours count. They don't need constant praise or validation because their internal standard is already higher than anyone's expectations. That's what makes them different, not just what they do, but how they do it. You don't accidentally give uncommon effort. It's a decision to wake up with urgency, a decision to separate yourself from the lazy, a decision to prepare even when there's no event in sight, a decision to stay faithful to the process when the rewards are invisible, a decision to train your mind to outwork your feelings, and when you do that, when you consistently bring uncommon effort, you become dangerous in the best way. Because now you're not depending on talent, luck, or emotion. You're depending on preparation, on grit, on a fire that doesn't need to be relit every Monday morning. That's what makes people unstoppable. Not hype, not charisma, but consistency in the dark, effort that's uncommon because the dream is uncommon. The vision requires more, so you give more. You understand that excellence is not a moment, it's a mindset. You're not competing with others. You're competing with your former self. And every time you give uncommon effort, you're casting a vote for the future you say you want. So if you want to go where most people never go, then do what most people never do. Raise the standard, raise the urgency, raise the intensity, and when you do, don't be surprised when results start chasing you, because the uncommon always rise. They have no other choice. They're built for it. And so are you. Everyone talks about having a vision. It sounds powerful. It sounds inspiring. But vision by itself is not enough. A vision without execution is nothing more than a beautiful lie. It's the illusion of progress. It makes you feel like you're moving when you're actually standing still. Dreaming is easy, doing is rare, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be is only closed by one thing: execution. You can write the vision on the wall. You can shout it from the rooftops. You can tell the world what you're about to become. But until your calendar reflects your calling, you're not serious. People love to say, "I'm waiting on the right time." But let's be real, delay is often just a dressed-up form of fear. Execution doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It thrives in imperfect action, because the truth is there is no such thing as the right moment. There's just now. And what you do with now will determine what shows up next. Vision is important, but it's only the starting point. It gives you direction, but it doesn't move your feet. It gives you hope, but it doesn't give you results. Only execution can do that. The most gifted people in the world are often not the most successful, not because they didn't have vision, but because they didn't have follow-through. They fell in love with potential, but never got committed to the process. Execution is what separates the crowd from the called. It's what turns a daydreamer into a difference maker. You can't build a legacy on ideas alone. You can't wish your way into impact. You can't keep talking about one day and then expect someday to magically arrive. Someday is a lie. Execution is the truth. It's the thing that proves whether your vision is real or just a fantasy you use to feel good. You want to see your future. Look at your habits. You want to measure your belief. Look at your actions, because what you do reveals what you really believe. The people who win aren't the ones with the biggest dreams. They're the ones with the daily discipline to chase those dreams, no matter how far off they seem. They show up tired, they show up scared, they show up unqualified, but the key is, they show up. Execution doesn't care how you feel. It only cares that you move. Vision gets you excited. Execution gets you results. And if your dream doesn't live in your schedule, it's just entertainment. You can't execute when your life is run by emotions. Feelings are unreliable. They change with the weather. But commitment shows up on rainy days, on bad days, on tired days. Execution demands that you prioritize what matters even when it's inconvenient. Most people quit not because the dream wasn't worth it, but because they never developed the discipline to carry it. They never turned their vision into a set of non-negotiable actions. If you want to know what your future looks like, don't look at your vision board. Look at your routines. Vision might give you a glimpse of the finish line, but execution is the step-by-step grind that gets you there. It's waking up early to read when you'd rather sleep. It's saying no to distractions when you'd rather escape. It's building when no one is watching, believing when no one is clapping, and producing when nobody is pushing you. People ask, how do I stay motivated? That's the wrong question. Motivation is a spark. Execution is a system. You don't need more sparks. You need more structure. You need to take that big dream and break it into small, concrete steps. Then you need to attack those steps with urgency, focus, and excellence. Don't wait for the fire. Build the furnace. Build the process that turns vision into action and action into results. You can pray, you can plan, you can prepare. But until you execute, your destiny remains stuck in theory. You can't multiply what you don't move. You can't elevate if you never engage. You can't transform if you never take the first step. So stop rehearsing the idea. Stop editing the plan to death. At some point, you've got to stop preparing and start producing. Vision is a gift. It shows you what's possible. But execution is the responsibility that proves you're worthy of it. The world doesn't respond to what's in your head. It responds to what's in your hands. And if you don't act on your vision, someone else will act on theirs. And you'll be stuck watching them live what you only imagined. Most people want uncommon results while giving common effort. They dream big but move small. They talk heavy but work light. The truth is, if you want to stand out, you can't afford to show up like everybody else. Being uncommon is not about talent, status, or background. It's about effort. The world is full of average. Average is crowded, the top, that's where it gets quiet. That's where the uncommon live and the price of entry. It's the effort you bring when nobody's watching. Uncommon effort is not about overworking. It's about overcommitting to your calling. It means doing the things others skip. It means giving excellence in moments others overlook. It means refusing to coast on your natural ability and instead demanding more from yourself every single day. The ones who rise are the ones who refuse to be casual about their potential. They treat their gift like it's sacred. They show up like the assignment matters, because it does. You can't expect elite results with lazy routines. You can't expect the marketplace to value what you don't discipline yourself to master. When you put in uncommon effort, it shows. It shows in how you talk, how you walk, how you carry your purpose. People can see it before they hear it. The energy is different. The presence is undeniable. Because excellence creates its own authority. You don't have to beg for opportunities when you've prepared with uncommon intensity. The doors begin to open because your name starts moving before you do. There is a world of difference between being busy and being effective. Average effort is scattered. It looks like motion, but it's just noise. Uncommon effort is focused. It's surgical. It's strategic. You don't chase everything. You master one thing at a time and move with precision. You're not out here trying to impress people. You're here to impact them, and impact doesn't come from hype. It comes from hard, hidden work, the kind nobody celebrates, but everyone sees the result of later. Too many people are stuck at the level of almost. They almost made it, almost committed, almost followed through, almost finished, but almost never leaves a legacy. It's not enough to start strong. You've got to finish with power. And that requires uncommon stamina. You have to outlast the noise, outlast the doubt, outlast the season when nothing seems to be working. That's where most people quit, but that's also where the uncommon rise. Effort is the one thing you control. You may not control the outcome. You may not control the economy, your background, or who supports you, but you do control your input. You control how hard you go. You control whether you hit snooze or wake up with purpose. You control whether you practice when nobody is watching or perform only when the lights are on. Uncommon effort is not situational. It's a lifestyle. It's a standard you refuse to lower. Average people wait to feel like it. Uncommon people train until it becomes instinct. They don't live by moods. They live by mission. They're not counting the hours. They're making the hours count. They don't need constant praise or validation because their internal standard is already higher than anyone's expectations. That's what makes them different. Not just what they do, but how they do it. You don't accidentally give uncommon effort. It's a decision to wake up with urgency, a decision to separate yourself from the lazy, a decision to prepare even when there's no event in sight, a decision to stay faithful to the process when the rewards are invisible, a decision to train your mind to outwork your feelings, and when you do that, when you consistently bring uncommon effort, you become dangerous in the best way. Because now you're not depending on talent, luck, or emotion. You're depending on preparation, on grit, on a fire that doesn't need to be relit every Monday morning. That's what makes people unstoppable. Not hype, not charisma, but consistency in the dark. Effort that's uncommon because the dream is uncommon. The vision requires more, so you give more. You understand that excellence is not a moment. It's a mindset. You're not competing with others. You're competing with your former self. And every time you give uncommon effort, you're casting a vote for the future you say you want. So if you want to go where most people never go, then do what most people never do. Raise the standard, raise the urgency, raise the intensity, and when you do, don't be surprised when results start chasing you, because the uncommon always rise. They have no other choice. They're built for it. And so are you. Most people want the reward without the repetition. They crave the applause but avoid the process. But the truth is, the applause is temporary and the process is eternal. The process is where greatness is formed, where character is forged, and where mastery is built. If you live for applause, your motivation will be inconsistent. If you live for the process, your growth will be unstoppable. Applause fades, but the process builds something that lasts. There's something powerful about showing up when no one is clapping. It's the unseen grind that separates the real from the hype, because when the lights go off and the noise dies down, all you have left is the process. And if you've disrespected it, if you've skipped steps, taken shortcuts, or only worked hard when someone was watching, then the applause will expose your hollowness. But when you've honored the process, the applause just confirms what you already know. You're built different. Applause can be addictive. It feels good. It feeds your ego. It tells you you're enough. But if you depend on it, you'll become a slave to other people's opinions. You'll start performing instead of producing. You'll start chasing recognition instead of results. You'll start showing up just to be seen, not to get better. That's a dangerous place to live, because when the applause stops, and it always does, so will you. That's why the process must be your fuel. The process isn't sexy. It's not loud. It doesn't always feel rewarding. It looks like repetition, like early mornings and late nights, like doing it over and over again until it becomes muscle memory. The process will test your patience, stretch your limits, and humble your pride. It will ask you, do you want this bad enough to keep going without a crowd? That's when you find out who's real. That's when your roots go deep enough to handle the storm that's coming with the spotlight. The people who truly excel are the ones who fell in love with what others ignore. They learned to embrace the silence. They mastered the fundamentals when nobody was watching. While others were chasing praise, they were chasing progress. They understood that the applause is not the goal, it's just a byproduct. Real power is found in showing up when it's not glamorous. That's the ground where champions are grown. Applause might celebrate you, but it doesn't sustain you. What sustains you is knowing that every day you show up and honor the process, you are becoming stronger, wiser, sharper. The discipline you develop in the shadows becomes the excellence people see in the light. You don't need people to approve of you when you've already approved your own effort. When your standard is internal, external applause becomes irrelevant. When you honor the process, you train your mind to value consistency over clout. You don't let your emotions dictate your execution. You don't need to feel good to do good. You move with purpose regardless of who's watching. That's maturity. That's leadership. That's mastery. And mastery is never the result of being celebrated. It's the result of being committed. The process will not flatter you. It will challenge you. It will reveal where you're weak and call you to become stronger. It doesn't care about your ego. It cares about your endurance. Can you keep showing up after failure? Can you keep pressing forward when your best effort goes unnoticed? Can you keep doing the work even when your name isn't being called? If the answer is yes, then you're on the path to something that applause can never buy. Applause can be loud, but the process is loyal. The process will never leave you. It will always give back what you put in, maybe not today, maybe not next week, but eventually. The harvest belongs to those who kept planting seeds even when nobody cheered them on. The reward shows up for the ones who refuse to abandon the routine. That's what honor looks like. It's not flashy, but it's faithful. When you honor the process, you develop a confidence that applause can't create. A deep, unshakable knowing that you're not lucky, you're prepared, you're not here by accident. You've been forged in fire. So when the applause finally comes, you can smile, not because you need it, but because you know you didn't skip the steps to get there. You showed up every day. You gave your best when no one asked you to, and now the results are just catching up to the effort. Applause may be the moment, but the process is the mission. And if you stay loyal to the mission, the moment will come. The stage will find you, the opportunities will arrive, but by then you won't be moved by the noise, because you'll already be grounded in something deeper, something stronger, something only the process could have produced. You don't have to be superhuman. You just have to be super consistent. An extraordinary life is not built in the blur of hype, but in the clarity of daily habits. So the question is not, will you have a breakthrough? The real question is, will you show up daily until the breakthrough has no choice but to show up for you?